Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19. Welcome back to Geiselsberg with Seasons. It's the last day of autumn, and I realized after the last episode that there's actually one more thing I want to do this season, and what that is I want to get grass planted in these new fields that we're creating from this last forest that we took down, and we did take it down all the way to the road. So if we look at our map here, we are all the way over, right, where that little road is next to field 22. We took the forest down. So north of field 15 and west of field 22, that's where we're looking right now. We took it down all the way to the tree line. And I left some trees up along the side of the road, and I did put in a little gravel track here. And we'll continue working on this. Is that gravel? Or is that some kind of macadam? I don't know. But whatever it is, we made a little road here. And I did get this field plowed under, so we'll get that going. Before we get started, let's take a look at some money and some finances and some, just to kind of bring you up to speed. So the money, here is the money. Our loan sits at $200,000. I'm okay with it. We got a total of, when I finished logging yesterday, Friday, I got another $200,000. So we got a total of $900,000 from that forest, and I believe $200,000 from the first one. So a little over $1 million in timber this year alone. I don't think I'm going to be logging again on this map. I really don't. I like it, but not enough to do it that much. Something else I want to take a look at is when we go to our prices page. I was curious if the biogas plant would have a better price for silage, and it certainly does. 330 euro per thousand versus at the moment 62 at the barn. Now we've got 300 bales at 4,000 liters apiece. That's 1.2 million liters at $62 euro per thousand liters. Is about 60 grand. We could get 5x that amount, right? We could get 300,000 for it. We're not going to. Because essentially what we would do is we would take those bales and bring them down here and dump them in the hopper at our new BGA. We didn't plan on doing that when we made those bales, and so I don't want to take advantage of the BGA. Does that make sense? Sort of ethically, morally, We didn't have that plan in mind when we made those bales, so we'll sell them where we intended to sell them. And we're going to get this turned on. We want dumb AI, right, okay. Brake is off. This is set to grass. And this little Lemkin Saf here does have a power harrow up front. So it should, we'll see here, but it should be able to make its way across this field, no problem. And I'm going to do this sort of quick and dirty, at least on the worker right now, and then I'll come back in and trim in the headlands manually. Right, in the right direction. Everything's good. Good there. There he goes. And slow this down a little bit. Yeah, right about there. And I did miss, you can probably see it coming up now. I did miss one stump, and I'll have to come in and manually grind this out. Yep, one little stump right there. You. All right, we'll fix that. Okay, so we'll let our MB track get to work planting grass here. So you can see I also, I said I put the little road in here, the little gravel track. I also put in a big shed, a bigger shed. And this was kind of expensive, but it does have solar panels on the roof, so it's going to start giving us some passive income. I went in after I was done recording. I went in and cleaned this up a little bit as best I could. I don't hate it. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. And I think it's simply the limitation of Farm Sim and its placeable system. It's not Planet Coaster. It's not City Skylines. You can't go in and tweak every little thing as you may want to. Now, what I would love to do is put some trees in back here, but there are no placeable trees. Now, I have a pack of placeable trees as a mod, but it was released well before seasons. So if I used any of those trees or shrubs or bushes or anything, they would not change with the seasons. and I don't want to. Yeah, I also used them on old streams, and the next time I reloaded my save game, a bunch of the real trees that the map maker had placed disappeared. So I don't want to risk that on this map either. So it's like I said, I don't hate it. You know, it's within the limitations of the placeable system. I think it looks all right. Although it does, we're on a bit of a moonscape here with all this grass now. You forget when you open up a field and make it as big as you want to, as big as you've always dreamed, it can look a little empty. Blocked by an object. Hang on. What is this guy doing? Now we got to run all the way back down to the MB track. Right, so I think what I said earlier about the bales, I think that makes sense. We could sell them at the BGA, but I don't want to. Is he moving again? Did he get it sorted out? We're just running back and forth here. No, he did not get it sorted out. Oh, MB track. What are you doing, man? What? All right. Let us let us accommodate a farm sim worker by cutting in some headlands. And yeah, this MB track really struggles. I thought it was that big sulky seeder that we had on there, because that thing's kind of a monster. It holds like 3,000 liters of seed. I thought that was why this thing was skating and sliding all over, but no, I think it's just this MB track, which is a shame because it's a good mod. I like it. It seems very well made. It seems like it's got a lot of time and effort put into it, but something about the physics is just, we're just crabbing all over the place. It's odd. It's odd. So, okay, well, you know what, I'll tell you about that as we're working here. We're fixing to have this part of the map no longer have any type of, well, this MB track, this will be the last time that we ever seed anything with it. And I'll tell you why. So, when I bought the sheep farm, when we started our second save game with Seasons, I hadn't really anticipated getting into this massive field and taking down the forests and having the BGA. I mean, I guess in a broad sense, I thought maybe someday, but you know, here we are. We've got a pretty big silage operation going down here. Now, I put in those two clamps. They are 900,000 liters apiece, total of 1.8 million, which seems excessive, but then you think we've got 300 bales at 4,000 liters. That's 1.2 million. And that does not represent two full triple fertilized second growth stage cuts. So I believe we could get 1.5 million or potentially 1.8 million liters of silage, of grass, and make it into silage from these fields. And we could conceivably even do that twice in a season, which means that this silage operation will be making, I don't know, could be upwards of €1 million a year, which sounds like a lot. And it is. But when we think about opening up the southern part of the map, I mean, even just the land down there is outrageously expensive, and we would need bigger equipment. All right. So we're going to put it back on a worker. Blocked by an object. What? You are not blocked by an object. Go. There we go. Let's go to the map. So if we go down here, some of these fields down here. So this is 215 and 150. So call that 400,000 just for the farms themselves. And then 550, 220, 400,000, 300,000. So very, very expensive. €1 million annually, or potentially even more. That sounds like a lot, but we could burn through that. Opening up the southern part of the map, we could burn through that really in no time flat. Just on land, and then lease equipment. So the BGA is going to make us a lot of money, but we're we're trying to play realistically, and it's not going to give us enough money that we can just go absolutely crazy. All right, we're going to watch him make one more turn down at the other end, and if he can pull that off, then we'll get to plowing under our other field. But it is a lot of money. It's €1 million a year. Now, we've got a little sheep operation up there. I bought 50 more sheep off camera. It was another 40,000. And I did that because our wool, I don't know how much we're going to make from wool. 30,000, 20,000. And when you think about it in the context of, right next door to our wool operation, our sheep operation is a silage operation that's making €1 million a year. And then we've got our wool operation making €20,000 a year. I feel like we need to bump up. Sir? All right. Seems a bit excessive, but you know what? If that's how he wants to make his turn. Right. Let's go plow this field under. Does that make any sense? I think it does. Essentially, our wool operation could be closed down right now, and we could sell that land, and it would be a better use of the money than putting time and effort into harvesting wool for €20,000 a year. So we'll see about that. But it does look like, when I see €1 million a year forecast for income, I think fantastic. We'll own this entire map in another 2 or 3 days? No, it'll be like 2 or 3 years to get all that going. But it's definitely progress. Right, so this is what we're going to be doing our plowing with. In honor of the upcoming Platinum Pack, I went ahead and leased this great big Kloss. And then I've got is it Jimpa or Yimpa? It's an ongoing question. I know it's maybe cheating a little bit to use this type of plow, but it's the one we're using. Right, so we want, we turn this on, and we do want allow create fields. We certainly do. And I'm going to stay out from the trees a little bit, and I'll tell you why. There are some little bushes. Let me set the brake. You can't really see them when we're zoomed out in drone cam, but there are bushes everywhere. And in the spring, these will turn green and actually add a little bit of substance to this area where we're looking at the edge of the map. Right, as all these fill in, it's going to make it look not quite so Truman Show. So I want to stay out a little bit and leave some of those intact. And, again, going back to the placeable system in FS19, it is what it is. And Giants knows they have a big console player base. And very different than PC world in terms of scripts and what can and can't be used, not having a keyboard. There's a lot of differences when you get into console world, and Giants is mindful of their player base. Good for them. What that means is they can't necessarily do what they want to do. I think they need to do what their customers need them to do. In my perfect world, the placeable system would be a modified version of Giants Editor. And rather than the placeable system occurring in the game, I know we're making some pretty sharp turns here. I don't want to snap the tines off our plow. Rather than, and again, this is hypothetical, theoretical, rather than changes taking place in-game for the placeables, I would love to see a modified version of Giants Editor. Call it Giants Editor Lite, that you would fire up independently of the game. And it would access your save game, your vehicle file, your bank account balance, everything. And essentially, you would make changes to the map in Giants Editor rather than in the actual game itself. And when everything was good, when everything was the way you wanted it to be, then you hit save, right? And then it commits the changes that you made as far as placeables and terrain and various other things. Then it commits all that, and the next time you open your save game, there it is. Because really the best way for things like bushes and hedges and all that stuff, really the best way to do it is in Giants Editor. But for me right now, as far as going in and placing bushes, I really don't know where they would end up because we've altered the terrain and because we have structures now. I can't, when I'm in Giants Editor, I can't see those things, right? I think this is making sense. So, I realize the placeable system is, I don't want to call it a compromise, but they're working within the limitations of both their code and their customer base, right? So from that angle, I get it, I do, and it's not perfect, but I think it'll be hopefully improved in FS 2021, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, as I said, I don't hate the changes that we've made to the map, and I think in the springtime when things fill in a little bit, we'll be good to go. We're also going to be spending a lot less time up here to the north when we get our farms going down south, because the grass is so good at taking care of itself, and sheep are pretty good at taking care of themselves too. So we don't really need to have a lot of intervention up here. I think most of our effort is going to be down south with our cows and our arable crops. But that is probably one season out, I think. Maybe two. So we'll I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it all out. Now, I have this is a real farming question. I watch real farming videos, and I notice when I do that the headlands and verges on real fields tend to be much bigger, and real farmers tend to be extremely mindful of compaction. And I noticed that a lot of farm sim maps, the crops very often go right up to the trees, right up to the edge of the field. Very little headland, very little verge. And I wonder about that. I'm missing some bits here. But you know what? That's actually okay because it's just going to be grass anyway. And I wonder about that because farmers in real life, compaction seems to be just a really, really big deal and something that they're always sort of not fighting with, but mindful of, I guess is a good way to say it. And in Farm Sim, because we don't have compaction yet, I feel like we can really be a lot more casual about the way we drive across our fields. So I do make an effort. I need to sort of guess because compaction, what do I know from compaction? But I do try to make an effort not to drive all over a field that I've just plowed or cultivated or what have you. Sometimes it happens. All right, so we go right out here. And this is meadow grass that we're driving across right now. I planted this, I brushed it in with the terrain tools. But this is meadow grass here, and then what we're going to plant naturally will be crop grass. And as we get down here a little further, you'll be able to see I ran this road just along the edge of field 15 up ahead of us. So if we ever did want to make these fields to our right back into arable crops, they are completely intact. I didn't paint over them with anything. I'm not going to plow over them. So ideally, those fields remain fields, and we can use them for other things if we want to. Right. The M-Beat track is done. You want to flip it around? Yeah, I mean, we're right here. May as well. So I'm going to come right down here to the edge of this field. I need to pivot the camera around. Is it right there? Hard to see. Yeah, I think that's it right there. Okay, so we're going to lift this, set the brake, leave Denzel to his newspaper. Denzel is our hired worker. Denzel was the hired worker of a YouTuber farm simmer that I used to watch back in the day. Denzel was his guy, so Denzel is my guy now too. Anytime we got a hired worker on, that is Denzel. All right, so we go over here. Right down in here. The reason I'm planting this grass, I understand we might lose a little bit of it to frost if it's not germinated to a point yet where it can tolerate frost. There you go. We may lose a tiny little bit of it, but my goal is that all of our grass is growing on the first day of spring. That we're not planting grass on the first day of spring, that it's already planted and growing. Because I believe that we can get 2 full cuts, but we need to have everything ready to go as soon as possible. Let's do this. Let's go right across here. And then I'm tempted to like make the turn, but I know you can't make turns like that with a plow on. You will break it. So, go up here a little bit more. Backing up here. And then right about like so. I'll have to trim that bit in. Well, I guess I don't even really need to. It's just grass, right? All right. So back in here. So yeah, this will be, if we can get 2 full cuts, I think we can get close to 2 million liters of grass, 2 million liters of silage into, or 2 million liters of grass into the clamp, 2 million liters of silage out of it. And I think we should be definitely keeping the lights turned on. I mean, we won't be in any danger of like financial catastrophe at that point. But we are still, it is still going to take a couple seasons, a couple of years in-game before we can open up the southern part of the map. I mean, we could do it with a big loan, but I'm trying to avoid that. I am. And as far as the, I mean, you can see we got, well, you know, we got the shed with the solar panels on the roof. Over here to the right, we also got our little, well, we're in Germany now, so what is that, Vodafone? We got some mobile phone company, some cell phone company is leasing some land for us for one of their towers, and that is giving us some passive income, plus the passive income from the solar panels on the roof of the shed. So we did have that 3,000 euro per day, call it tax payment. I don't know. Whatever it is, we have it. And now with our passive income, we are just about covering that. Just about. So even though we did have to spend some money up front, we don't have that tax bill chipping away at our bank account anymore. So the 20,000, as an example, the 20,000 that we have right now will stay just about 20,000 because it won't be used on a daily basis to cover those taxes. And that means if we need to buy some bales for the sheep, if we need to, you know, we won't need to take out any more loan. We know we can work with that 20,000. So at the moment, our passive income just offsets the taxes. And as we continue to expand and get more buildings and structures with passive income, then we'll, let me see. Rather than driving back and forth across a headland, you know what I mean? If we were to make a headland up top here, then we'd be driving back and forth over it. Let's start doing it this way. And I don't necessarily need to finish this. Where we at? Yeah, we're 24 minutes. I don't necessarily need to finish this on camera, but you see what I'm getting at. See what my goal is here. So yeah, I'll get this all fertilized. And now the other reason I put that shed in is we will need to have a big trailer, either a forage wagon for just picking up grass, or a big trailer to run alongside a forage harvester if we decide to go that way. I prefer to do it that way. I've had some real farmers tell me you get a better quality of silage that way because the grass is macerated and crushed, and the way that a forage harvester processes grass makes for better silage than the way a loading wagon does. So I would prefer to do it with a forage harvester. It's just until Course Play adds functionality for forage harvesters back in. It used to have it, but at the moment it does not. But until it adds it back in, it's sort of tricky to coordinate Course Play for a mower and a forage harvester and the carts. And I would also, I mean, I can test it, I guess, but I would also like to see if we can have our trailers come over here back into the stall, back into the bunker, and unload automatically. Yeah, it's tricky. I would love to see it all happening on course play, but I don't know if it can. But we can give it a try. I'll test it off camera. And was there one other thing? Let's get rid of this first off. It's kind of in the way. Was there one other thing? Oh, we need to buy a wheel loader as well, because we are going to have hundreds of thousands of liters of grass that are going to need to be pushed back to the back side of the bunker and compacted and everything else. So that's another 100,000 euro. And like I said, it seems like a lot of money until you start spending it, and then it just goes away so quickly. So we'll be mindful of the finances, and I really don't want to just borrow €1 million and not play realistically on the financial side of things, right? So we're trying to play realistically on the farm side, but we're not necessarily being realistic with the money. I'm going to try to be realistic with the money. So I think that's about it. Yeah, this is the last evolution on our farm for this season, is to get these fields converted. And then next spring, this entire north part is it's good to go. I don't think we need to do anything other than fertilize our grass and feed and water our sheep. I think that's it. That is it. So we've got, where are we at? 27 minutes. Let me do a couple more passes and then we'll call it. And that'll be it for today. And it's what? It's the 17th for me? I'm sorry, it's the 16th. So yeah, we'll have episodes between now and when Platinum Expansion comes out. But I guess with this being a German map, there's no reason we can't run Kloss equipment. I think it would fit well. And certainly as we get down into the southern area and get those big arable fields opened up, I think the big Kloss equipment would really work well down there. So I know we started as a Deutzfahr farm, but no reason we can't be Kloss as well. Right. Let me see. I don't know how long our MB track has to go. Let's just finish this pass and we'll call it. You get the idea. You see what we're up to here. What we're after. Right. So we go right through here. Back this up here. Yeah, even this right here. I don't know that you would do this in real life. I mean, I know surface compaction and hard pan are two completely different things, but I know one can sort of lead to the other as time goes by. So it's a big deal. Compaction is such a big deal that I'm surprised sometimes that it's not a part of the game. Like it's a really big deal. Right through here. Yeah, there's all those little bushes. Can't hardly see them till you're right up close to them. This time of year you can't see them till you're right up close to them. Right, and I think, yeah, this is as good a place as any to call it. So we're going to go right there. We're going to set the brake. We're going to hop out. Come around here. There you go, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 19. This is Geiselsberg with Seasons. We'll see you next time. Take care now.